Hey, it's me. I'm here to do a demonstration of the Piagnostics project. Piagnostics is kind of an amalgamation of Raspberry Pi and then OBD2, or Onboard Diagnostics 2. Now, unfortunately, I haven't really had the resources to fully implement this project. In theory, this Raspberry Pi here should be controlling the LCD screen and display the OBD2 diagnostic information on the LCD screen. However, that's not quite the case, like I said, because it's just lack of resources, honestly. But what I'm going to demonstrate in this video is that the Pi can, in fact, connect to the car's, one of the car's CAN buses, the engine bus, and can obtain the diagnostic information. So what I have here, I have my monitor hooked up to a inverter running off my car power. Then we've got the Raspberry Pi right here, obviously, with the breadboard and the screen and a temperature sensor on it somewhere, hooked or powered by a 9 amp hour battery pack here. And of course I have a keyboard hooked to the Pi sitting in my lap. And I have, running from the Pi, a connector, a USB connector that goes down here to the car's, if you can see it down there lit up, it goes down to an adapter that plugs into my OBD2 port. It's actually, it uses what's known as the ELM 327 protocol, which essentially just kind of makes it easier to communicate via USB or Bluetooth with your car's bus without ever having to actually touch the bus. Now there is something kind of unique about this project, or I think it's unique. One of the advantages you have with development is being able to kind of create implementations in that can kind of break language barriers and barriers of understanding. So with this project, I've demonstrated that the diagnostic information can be printed in 2 different languages with 2 different systems of measure. Now, most likely, if you were printing this information in a different language, you would be probably printing it in Spanish. Of course, I know absolutely no Spanish, so I've resorted to trying German, and looking up the correct terms, trying to fit them all into these little 20 character strings that'll fit on the LCD. But I also have it where it can use either English or metric units. But I'll show you that now. I have a program called Test, and it uses the back end of the of my code, of my Piagnostics code, to obtain information from the car's bus and print it out on the screen. So if you can tell right now, my car's on started. If you're curious, it is 12:34. I'm sorry, I wish this would come in focus better. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run the test program right now, once I turn the light off so you can see better. If it'll focus, maybe. Well, it seems like my only chance of getting the camera to focus is by having the light on. I'm sorry about any issues with clarity. If you can't tell right now, I'm in the home directory. Oh, there we go. Now it's in focus, sort of. Okay, so I'm in the home directory. I'm going to run my test program. Okay, and it's going to spit out the diagnostic information. There you go. There you go. And it's pretty quick, too, especially considering some delays I had to build in. So if you can tell, the top bit is English. 0 miles per hour. That kind of makes sense because I'm sitting still. 671 RPM. That looks about right based on the dash. You can tell it's hard to get in focus, I'm sorry. But yeah, looks about right according to the RPM, the tactometer I have. The problem light, or the check engine light, the idiot light, depending on what you want to call it, is turned off. Absolute barometric pressure outside is about 14 psi. That's sounds about right. That's about 1 atmosphere. Coolant temperature is right at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. 28% engine load. Fuel to air ratio of 1% with the fuel injector. The intake manifold absolute pressure is only 4 psi. Interestingly, not quite sure why it's that low, but I've verified that with other other diagnostic tools, and that's correct, and apparently fairly normal. The miles I've gone since the DTC codes were cleared, more or less that's the miles I've gone since my last oil change is 9,600. So it means I'm getting close to needing an oil change. So that's good information to know. See, I started the car 13 minutes ago. Throttle position is 13% relatively, which is, that's about right for letting the engine idle. And there's a 13-degree timing advance on the first cylinder, which sounds about right. Then you can see below is the German and metric information. Had some trouble kind of trying to abbreviate some of these terms, but yeah. Interestingly enough, like all of these are kind of printed in real time, so there's like there's about a 12% difference in the engine load between the time when it was printed in English and the time it was printed in German. Down where it says Luftdruck, I'm sorry, Motorlast, that one's at 40%. When it was printing in English, it was at 28. From what I've seen, that kind of spread isn't that unusual. Now, in just a minute, we're going to go for a drive, and I'll show you how the RPM gauge changes, and how it shows the speed. Gotta say, this is something I've never done before. Trying to watch a computer monitor and look at a keyboard and drive at the same time. But thankfully, it's late enough. There's nobody out. Yeah, I can't show you though. Just sitting here revving the engine, what it'll do to the RPM. Ready? Okay, we're gonna rev. A little more, a little more, a little more for the German. Okay, letting off now. As you can see now, looking at the first bit printed in English. Focus, gosh darn it. Okay. It's about 2,000 RPM, which from where I was looking at the gauge at the time, that looked about right. Then when I revved it up more when the German started printing, it went up to about 4,500 RPM. There we go. That's a nice clear picture. So let's go for a little drive. I don't think any of this would actually count as texting and driving, but who knows. Okay, so here I am. I'm going down 12th Avenue. Not going very fast, but you can tell my RPMs are up, and of course the speedometer. So right now what I'm going to do is run my test program again. And let's run it one more time for good measure, just for fun. I'm still at Fat Sam's here in the parking lot, and apparently the video cut off on me without realizing it. My apologies. Let's look at the diagnostic information. We ran the test program twice. Here's the output of the first run. Here we go, 19 miles an hour, 1300 RPM. Sounds about right. And then the metric German, 30 kilometers an hour. By that time, it stepped up to about 1600 RPM. You can see it when it focuses. If and when it focuses, I'm sorry. My apologies on all the problems with the camera, but I guess I'll have to ask you to take my word for it. Maybe if we turn the light off. Or, hey. Well, okay. It's focusing. Okay, there you can see. Yeah, 30 kilometers an hour, 1600 RPM. The second run, the English was called at 21 miles an hour, 1364 RPM. The German at 35 kilometers an hour, about 14,500 RPM. I'm sorry, 14,500. So yeah. You know, like I said before, I wish I could have gotten this diagnostic information to print on the LCD screen. Unfortunately, just the Pi isn't powerful enough for me to be able to debug. This isn't the one I ordered, actually. The one I requested, I guess, never came in. So I've kind of been lacking resources this whole time, unfortunately. But I think I've still done very well. Now, I do have code that in theory should make this work, but when you run it, it causes a segmentation fault. I'll show you here if it'll focus. Well, it may not focus very much, but take my word for it, that's the there we go, you see, okay. And it's just gonna hang there, and it's just gonna hang. Unfortunately. Sometimes it'll cause a segmentation fault, but I haven't been able to, debug that, as I said.